Good evening, everyone, and good afternoon to people. We're still in the afternoon time zone across Australia. This is our first official webinar or official online event of BRAC University Alumni Association Australia, and this is the first of many webinars that we would be hosting. This web series is named Growth and Grit Volume 1, and in this webinar we do have um, four of our respected alumni from different batches of BRAC University who are in different industries now working in Australia, and they'll be sharing their journey with us today. They'll be sharing their success stories, their challenges, and anything that would inspire the new generation here would be getting into the industry. And for the panelists, today I would request the panelist members, Nowroz Apu, Nawsher Bhaiya, Humaira Apu, and Ayesha Apu to keep their cameras on. And I'll just give a brief introduction. Firstly, we have Nowroz Apu from Spring 01, who's a senior technical business analyst at Westpac and is part of the first BRAC University batch from Spring 01 and has experience across Bangladesh and Australia in the financial sector. Then we do have with us Noor from Fall 01. He's a fintech and payment product leader with a journey spanning Selbazar, Bikash, and in the Australia's tech ecosystem. We also do have with us Humaira Malik from Summer 03, a senior regulatory advisor at Sydney Water, with a PhD from the University of Queensland and someone who has a decade of experience in Australia. And finally, we have Ayesha Mosaddeque with us from Follow 2, who's a senior software engineer who has worked with global organizations, including Salesforce, AWS, specializing in scalable systems. So they would be discussing more about their journey with us. This was a brief introduction from my end. I'm your host today, Shadman Rouf, from BRAC University Alumni Association. Before we proceed with the webinar, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we are all joining from today across Australia and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. Just for our panelist members, brief note, there will be a timer set on your screen during your session. This is to support you manage your time while speaking. And a general housekeeping rule, it's a disclaimer, just let everyone know this session would be recorded throughout from the start till the end, and parts of it or the entirety of it might be used across our BRACU social media channels for promotional or other purposes. I hope everyone consents to this. If not, you can choose to keep your cameras turned off and we would proceed with the webinar. And we would start with the panelist members and would start in the order with Nowroz Apu starting the session. Then would move to Nawsher Bhaiya, then to Humaira Apu, and we'll finally finish with Ayesha Apu. At the end of the speaking sessions, we would be having a question and answer session for all our audience. You are encouraged to put through your questions in the chat box. If you have any specific generic questions to any of our panelist speakers, you can do that. If it's directed towards any of the specific speakers. For example, if Nowroz Apu is starting first, and if you have a question specifically for her, you can mention it in the question in the chat box, and we try to answer them via our speakers at the end of the session. So we would start. I would like to welcome Nowroz Khan from Spring 01, from one of our very starting initial batches, to share her journey with us. Nowroz Apu, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everyone for involving me into the session today. I was a bit surprised, though I live in Adelaide, so it's a bit of a shock. But anyway, let me start my journey to BRAC University. So BRAC University te bhorti hawar amar ashole kotha chilo na, amar Jahangirnagore porar kotha chilo. So amar boro chacha, actually he became a guest lecturer in BRAC University later on. He is Dr. Akbar Ali Khan. তো উনি আসলে তখন উনি আব্বুকে বলেছিলেন যে আবেদ ভাই এরকম একটা ইউনিভার্সিটি খুলছেন, জামিলুর রেজা চৌধুরী ওখানকার ভিসি হবেন, ওনারা যদি কোনো কিছু খুলে থাকেন ভালোই হবে, তো মেয়েকে ওখানেই দাও, আমার মনে হয় ভাতিজি ওখানে ভালোই করবে। আর বড় চাচার কথা মানে হচ্ছে সেই কথার উপরে কেউ কথা বলে না ফ্যামিলিতে। সো দ্যাটস হাউ আই বিকেম দ্য ফার্স্ট one of the first guinea pig of BRAC University. তো আমার মনে আছে আমি বলছিলাম ফোনে যে আমার ফার্স্ট ডে অফ BRAC University was 15th of April, যেটা গতকালকে ছিল। কারণ হচ্ছে তার আগের দিন বাংলাদেশে আসলে পহেলা বৈশাখে বোমা বিস্ফোরণ হয়েছিল। সো আমার খুব ভালো মনে আছে। ইন্টারেস্টিং ফ্যাক্ট তারপরে যেটা হলো সেটা হচ্ছে ইউনিভার্সিটি জার্নি শুরু করলাম ফার্স্ট ব্যাচে, শেষ করলাম 2005-এ। তারপরে আমি আসলে কিছুদিন ইন্টার্ন করেছিলাম, আমি আমার ব্যাচে একমাত্র আমি করেছিলাম হচ্ছে বেইজ লিমিটেডে অ্যাজ এ ডেভেলপার, সফটওয়্যার ডেভেলপার। ওখান থেকে আমি গ্রামীণ ফোনে জয়েন করি কিছুদিন কাজ করার পরে। গ্রামীণ ফোনে আমি স্টার্ট করেছিলাম প্রজেক্টে, অ্যাট দ্য এন্ড আমি ল্যান্ড করি হচ্ছে প্রোডাক্ট ম্যানেজমেন্টে। আমার প্রোডাক্ট ছিল প্রিপেইড। ওখান থেকে আমরা মাইগ্রেট করি মাইগ্রেট না, অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে আসি 2010-এ সিডনিতে। লেটার অন আমার হাজবেন্ড স্কিল মাইগ্রেশন নেয় এবং আমরা পরবর্তীতে মুভ করি 2021-এ ইন অ্যাডলাইড। সো 2021 থেকে 2026, এখন সরি 2011 থেকে 2026, so it's been almost 15 years আমি অ্যাডলাইডে থাকি। 16 বছরের মতন আমি অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে আছি। It's an interesting journey. Adelaide, সিডনি বা মেলবোর্নের মতো বড় শহর না। সো সিডনি মেলবোর্নে থাকার পরে যখন আমি অ্যাডলাইডে আসি, it was a bit of a shock for me. 15 বছর আগে অ্যাডলাইড was much more quieter, much more smaller city to start with. বাংলাদেশের কোনো এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আসলে এখানে খুব একটা কাজে দেয়নি। I don't know how many people are from Adelaide, how many people have been into Adelaide so far. Adelaide is mostly কাজের ক্ষেত্রে এখন একটু ডিফারেন্ট হয়েছে লাস্ট 6 to 7 years. It was mostly white dominated place. It was getting hard to get a job first in IT or any kind of a project or any kind of a field. So আমার ফেলো অ্যালুমনি বা যারা অ্যাডলাইডে মাইগ্রেশনের চেষ্টা করছেন বা পিআর এর চেষ্টা করছেন, সবার প্রতি আমার একটা রিকোয়েস্ট থাকবে, সেটা হচ্ছে if you can't get the job in the field, what I did for myself, started somewhere. আমি বেসিক্যালি স্টার্ট করেছিলাম ওয়েস্টপ্যাকেই তখন 2011-এ লেন্ডিং ডিপার্টমেন্টে। আমার কাজ ছিল কাগজ প্রসেস করা। Started from there, then I moved into right now named as People's Choice Credit Union over there, similar position এ। তারপর আমি ওখান থেকে মুভ করে পরে আইটি থেকে বিজনেস অ্যানালিস্ট হিসেবে পরে কাজ করা শুরু করি। সার্ভিস ডেস্কে কাজ করেছি অনেকদিন। So আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে যে it's interesting that whatever we did in Bangladesh, whatever we have achieved so far, depending on where you are, what is your background, it matters. Depends on which city you are. Probably Sydney বা মেলবোর্ন থেকে যারা কাজ করছে বা যাদের এক্সপোজার, যেহেতু ওখানকার এইচআর বা ওখানকার মার্কেটটা অনেক বড়, ওখানকার মাইগ্রেন্ট ওয়ার্কাররা অনেক বেশি। সো আমাদের ওখানে অনেক ইজি হয় কাজ পেতে, যেটা হচ্ছে অ্যাডলেইড বা তাসমেনিয়া, আমি ডারউইনের ব্যাপারটা বলতে পারছি না, একটু ডিফিকাল্ট। সো লেসন লার্ন আমার ওখানে হচ্ছে যে start anywhere, then move wherever you want to go. World is your oyster. You have to just make sure that you are putting your effort over there. ওয়েস্টপ্যাকে কাজ করছি 2021 থেকে। তার আগে আমি পিপলস চয়েসে ছিলাম অলমোস্ট ফর 10 years. ওখানে বেসিক্যালি ব্যাংকিং অ্যাপ, name any banking app or any platform I have worked on it. Any ব্যাংকের যা করা যায়, যা কিছু ব্যবহার করা যায়, সবকিছুই মানে সমস্ত অ্যাপ্লিকেশন আমি কাজ করেছি, which has given me a bit of a like a knowledge. Small team ছিল, so life was very hectic. এটা হেল্প করেছে আমাকে ওয়েস্টপ্যাকে মাচ মোর কনফিডেন্ট হয়ে কাজ করতে। ওয়েস্টপ্যাকে আমি এখন কাজ করছি স্কিম কমপ্লায়েন্সে। এটা খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং। প্রবলি নওশের যেহেতু ফিনটেকে কাজ করে, নওশের এই খুব স্কিলড, এটা একটা খুব ন্যারো একটা ইন্ডাস্ট্রি যেটাতে আসলে সবার এক্সপোজার থাকে না। তো বেসিক্যালি ওয়েস্টপ্যাক ইজ এ বিগ ওয়ান, অ্যাকোয়ারিং পার্টে কাজ করি এখন পর্যন্ত। ইটস ইন্টারেস্টিং অ্যান্ড ইটস কাইন্ড অফ আ বিগ মার্কেট, যেটা আসলে বোঝা যায় না, বাট ভেরি ন্যারো আই মাস্ট সে। বাট এটা খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং ফিল্ড কাজ করার জন্য। এটাও একটা ব্যাপার, সেটা হচ্ছে এখানে আমি যেটা শিখলাম পিপলস চয়েসে কাজ করতে গিয়ে, সেটা হচ্ছে যেহেতু উই ওয়ার ভেরি স্মল পিপল, 7জন বিজনেস অ্যানালিস্ট আমরা ছিলাম, আমরা কাজ করতাম ইন এন্ড আউট, ডে এন্ড নাইট, অল থ্রু ডিফারেন্ট অ্যাপস। এক্সপোজারটা থাকাতে আমাদের হেল্প হয়েছে যে আমরা শিখেছি অনেক কিছু। আমরা আমরা লেসন লার্ন আমাদের অনেক ভালো ছিল, যে কারণে আমাদের জন্য ইজি হয়েছে। আর আমি জানি না কে এখানে আমি আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা বলতে চাই সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমি এখানে রিডান্ডেন্সি দেখেছি কয়েকবার। আলহামদুলিল্লাহ টাচউড এখন পর্যন্ত রিডান্ডেন্সিতে পড়িনি। রিস্ট্রাকচার দেখেছি কয়েকবার, রিস্ট্রাকচারও পড়ি না আলহামদুলিল্লাহ টাচউড। এটার ক্ষেত্রে আমার টিপস হচ্ছে যারা ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে অলরেডি কাজ করছেন, বি ট্রু টু ইয়োর সেলফ, স্টিক টু ইয়োর গান, মেক শিওর আপনি যেটা পারেন আপনি সেটা বলবেন, আপনি যেটা পারেন না সেটা একসেপ্ট করার মতো গাট, ইউ শুড হ্যাভ দ্য গাটস এন্ড ইউ শুড হ্যাভ দ্য কারেজ টু টক অ্যাবাউট ইট। If you can't do it, you'll be in the trouble into the future. No matter whatever you are doing or whatever you are saying, nobody can help you on this market. AI এখন চলে আসছে, so we are much more volatile and things are much more transparent right now. So কাজ ফাঁকিবাজি করার বা মানে বেশি বেশি করে বলে আসলে নিজেকে এক্সপ্রেস করা বা নিজেকে প্রুফ করার কোনো উপায় এখন আসলে নাই। আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা আমি শিখেছি সেটা হচ্ছে রিডান্ডেন্সির সময় বা রিস্ট্রাকচারের সময় somebody from HR will come in your place, not your manager, not your senior manager. They will go through your work that you have done for so far so now and will list it through and make a decision. যেটা রিসেন্টলি আমার ম্যানেজারের চাকরি চলে গেছে, আমার 8জন কলিগের চাকরি গেছে ইনভেস্টব্যাক। সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমার ক্ষেত্রে যেটা কাজ করেছে আমার সিপিডি যেটাকে বলে, সেখানে I wrote and I tried to prove myself. HR এর মানুষের কোনো আইডিয়া নেই আমি কি করি, they have got no clue what we do, so they actually read through what we write over there and that actually backed me up through so far. So আমি মনে করি that really helped. So এটা আপনারা সময় লাগলেও বিরক্ত লাগলেও এটা করবেন, it may help you. আর আরেকটা জিনিস আমি দেখেছি, যেহেতু আমি বিভিন্ন ডিপার্টমেন্ট থেকে মুভ করে আজকে আমি সিনিয়র টেকনিক্যাল বিজনেস অ্যানালিস্ট কমপ্লায়েন্সে কাজ করি, এটা খুব ক্রিটিক্যাল একটা কাজ। এই ক্ষেত্রে মুভ করার ক্ষেত্রে আমি লিটারেলি 7 থেকে 8টা ডিপার্টমেন্ট মুভ করেছি। এই ক্ষেত্রে যে জিনিসটা কাজ করে সেটা হচ্ছে ইয়োর নেটওয়ার্ক নাম্বার 1 and your expression of your interest to the role that you wanted to go or to the department. Networking definitely কাজ করে, but I would definitely tell you to write down in your resume, sorry, not your resume, আপনার CPD বা আপনার appraisal যেটাতে থাকে, that actually put a pressure on your manager to work forward or to help you out to achieve your goal. If he can't do that, or if you can't do that, if he can't achieve it or you can't achieve it, they are going to write it down. What are the issues or what are the steps they're taking over there? So these are my lesson learned. Other than that, Adelaide অনেক ঠান্ডা. I've got 2 kids. Life is very hectic. আমার ধারণা হুমায়রা আর ওরা হাসতেছে আমাকে নিয়ে because they have got 3. This is Nowroz Abu, stop showing off your 2 kids. But yes, life is hectic. আর as a woman আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছে যে with 2 maternity leave, not judging the male alumni over here, but whenever you are in your maternity leave, you actually lost some crucial years over there. Maternity leave, তারপরে আমরা যখন কাজে ব্যাক করি, আমরা পার্ট টাইম কাজে ব্যাক করি, বাচ্চাদের জন্য আমাদের ছুটি নিতে হয়। আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছে আমার 2 বাচ্চা নিয়ে আমার সলিড 4 বছরের আমার লস আছে ওখানে। I don't know about others, probably Ayesha আমাকে বলবে বা Humaira আমাকে বলবে, probably we have got more, but it's a fact. So work hard, that's one thing. আরেকটা হচ্ছে যে অ্যাডলেইডে যারা ইমিগ্রেশনের জন্য এখন অনেকেই আছেন, অনেকে চেষ্টা করছেন, আইটিতে অনেকে ডাটা অ্যানালিস্ট করেছেন, তাদেরকে আমি বলবো যে যদি আপনাদের পিআর বা কোনো কিছু পারমিট করে, জাস্ট গেট ইনটু সামথিং এন্ড জাস্ট দেন ট্রাই টু মুভ। এখানে যদি আপনি কোনো ধরনের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স না পান, অ্যাডলেইড মার্কেট ইজ ভেরি হার্ড টু গেট আ জব as a data analyst or business analyst or anything. Other than that, do some courses, maybe short courses, small diplomas. If you can't commit yourself for an expensive master's, that can help you as well. That's it. আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছে যে এটা ছাড়া অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে সার্ভাইভ করার জন্য ইনস্টিংক্ট ইজ ইয়োর বেস্ট সাপোর্ট। আমার any question আমরা পরে নিচ্ছি, but am I done with my 12 minutes or I've taken more? Shadman?
You are completely like properly on track. That shows how professional you are, and I think
Thank you.
that's setting an example beginning of the webinar as well. Thank you so much, Nowroz for sharing your journey with us. I think we would have a few questions based on your journey. People would have questions. Dear audience, we'll be moving on to our next panelist speaker with huge experience in the fintech industry. I would let him speak for himself now. Let's welcome Nawsher via the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. First, you'll just have to excuse me because I'll try to share my slides from Teams in an iPad. So just give me 1 second. If you can't do that, I'll just start anyway. I think everyone can see the slides. Yes? If I can get a nod.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so first of all, thanks for having me. Today, I just want to share a very real story of like my version of my experience and my learning in Australia. So let me start with the paradox, right? So my experience comes with 13 years in BD. I started in Bazaar after BRAC University. It was basically a startup culture. From there, I moved to Bikash. I was the 10th employee there. And in 2019, I was the head of planning there. And I was next in line for the C-suite, right? But so even with that kind of experience, when I decided to move to Australia, the first thing I noticed that I got zero callbacks. So what I didn't realize, even with that experience, it doesn't prepare you for that kind of shock, like right at the beginning. And that's where this story that I want to share today, it really starts. Um, this is something I want to really call out, right? So in terms of my background, what I had is I had the fintech experience. I led many teams in Vikash. I scaled products to millions of people. I had strong skill set. I was at the peak of my career, right? But when I started interviews for getting a job in Australia, I heard bluntly people saying, "Come back with a local experience." Months of silence, and then also with certain callbacks, there was no progress. It wasn't going anywhere. It's almost like you were invisible to this new market, right? And at that, this is the great part of the story I want to call out. And what that means is this is the time when you start questioning yourself, you start doubting yourself, like, did I overestimate myself? Am I making a mistake? Is this the right call to move to Australia, right? With all those doubts, with all those uncomfortable moments, you start realizing, okay, what should I really do? So I decided I will stop hunting for jobs and I'll start learning. So in 2019, I came to Australia for 4 to 6 weeks. This is just myself without the family. I didn't come here to apply for jobs. I just wanted to understand the people, the system, the culture, the market. Um, and from that exploration, few things I learned, took away, right? So one is put your ego to the shelf, right? Number one. Number two is I ended up creating multiple versions of of CVs for different kind of roles. And the other thing I invested on is when I met these people that I knew or connected through LinkedIn or through my career, I didn't go to them asking for something. I listened to them. I started asking questions about the market before even asking anything of them. So that's the important pivot that I had from my experience. And I think that really helped me to share what I want to share next, right? So this is the framework. It wasn't there for me. So if I look back, this was the pattern that I could make out of how I navigated this space, right? Number one is the intent, then the positioning, then the network and execution. So let me just quickly go through one by one. Number one, intent. So this is about clarity being ruthless, right? So you have to be very clear on what you want. For me, it was I did not want to make a compromise of fintech and payments, right? I wanted to make sure that I build my career in this market for that purpose. And that helped me to avoid a lot of, let's say, noises or eliminate a lot of noises. That's the first thing. And the second thing, this is one of the crucial parts, at least for me, it was, right? So this is where a lot of people get stuck. It's the positioning of yourself, of your experience. So before I was, my CVs were saying 13 years, international scope, I had this kind of experience, blah, blah, blah. But to the people here who did not know Bikash, who did not know Cellbazaar, who did not know Bangladesh as a market, I came out as too senior, too foreign, too much, too expensive, right? So I started reframing myself. So, okay, so what did I really do? So I built product from blank canvas. I scaled fintech for mass market. I was a strategic thinker and I could execute fast. So this became as more relevant to the local market. This was something they understood. So the important thing here is your CV, your experience really doesn't matter if it cannot translate to the local language. One example, I stopped saying I worked at Bikash and I started saying I worked in emerging market. That explained a lot of things to the people that I spoke to. The next part is the networking. And this is an important part. For me, the networking was more about context than contacts. What that means is it's not how many people you know, it's the people you know. Do they understand where to fit you? That's the important bit, right? So, and networking never stops. That's another lessons learned, right? So before you land a job, networking gives you access. And this networking doesn't necessarily come from people you already know. It might come from people you have met, um, you know, through LinkedIn or through your career. And once you land the job, networking really drives your growth. It's not the CVs, it's the perception of how they see you. So when you enter a room, let's say a panelist, an interview, in terms of how you tell your story and your experience, that perception really sticks to them. And that's how they understand you. And that is the important bit here. So for me, I never stopped investing in people, as in networking with the right people. So from an execution perspective, the path that I had was I started in SaaS, the health sector, which I never worked before. That was the entry point for myself into the market. And it was an important step because it gave me that local experience that the market was asking for, right? It was a necessary thing to do for me. Then I stepped into Tyro Payments. That's where I first got into the fintech space of Australia. Then at Cascal, I deepened my payment experience. I built my credibility, and now, I'm right now basically in a break. So I'll be moving to Apple next week. So all these may seem to be very linear, but it's not. Underneath, there's a lot of networking and positioning yourself throughout your career, which sticks with the right people to help you grow. So if I was to summarize one truth for myself was the plan gave me direction, but the network was the key thing that shaped the path. So you need both things. You need to know where you want to go, and you need the relationships to go there. So that is the important bit. So if I was to tell my 2019 self a few advices, the first thing I would say is clarity is crucial, at least for me, it was. Intent would be the starting point, it's not the finishing line. You have to do the hard work of positioning. Then secondly, step aside your ego. That can be expensive. So reframe your experience in a way that the market understands you. So you should consider it as a strategy, not a retreat. Third thing is the perception. This drives your doors, both before you land the job and also once you are in the job, how you connect to people, how they perceive you. That's very important in terms of how your career really grows. And lastly, adapt as you grow. So the framework that I have shared is through trial and error, right? And it can evolve. For you, it might be something different. As Norzapu was saying, for her, it was a bit different, so which is fine. But the mindset is the key thing. That stays constant. So intent, positioning, network execution. That's the way my pattern worked. And I would say one key message is networking only works if people understand where you fit. So one advice I would give to anyone is if you approach a fellow alumni, um, we really want to help you, but please make sure you do the work to explain them, okay, what really differentiates you, what are you looking for, and how can they help you, rather than just connecting or saying hi. That doesn't really um, get you in the longer run. So that's all I wanted to share from my side. Thank you, and keep building yourself. I guess that's all. Did I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah.
All right.
Stop sharing the screen whenever you're ready.
Not sure how to
Screen
stop
share
sharing.
is still on.
Let me see.
Just click on the share option and then stop sharing. Yeah. So
All right. Yeah,
should
and
be okay.
Shadman, I would be sharing this content with you so you can distribute to anyone, whoever feels might be helpful to them.
Sure. Thank you so much, Nawsher Bhaiya. Very beautifully designed decks there. And I think এটার উপর একটা workshop করা যায় পরে how to design presentations. Thank you so much. That was very insightful, very inspiring journey. And before anyone else, I would say congratulations on the next destination, Apple. It's a big name and truly well deserved based on your experience and skills. Um, Dear audience, we would be moving to our next panelist speaker, Humaira Apu. She's currently working in Sydney Water and a lot of experience. I'll give the floor to Humaira Apu. It's all yours. Please share your journey with us.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shadman, and thank you all and welcome all to this webinar. আমি বাংলিশে কথা বলবো, একটু বাংলা একটু ইংলিশ মিলাই ঝুলাই, so apology for that. দুটাতেই কাঁচা, so চেষ্টা করব consistent থাকার. So আমি summer 2003 গালিব ভাই ইমতিয়াজ ভাই যেটা বলা, আমরা ডাইনোসর যুগের student of BRAC. এখন BRAC has changed a lot. And recently যখন আমি ব্র্যাকে লাস্ট ইয়ার যাই, তো তখন আমি একজন আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করে, সো ইউ হ্যাভ পাসড ইন 2018? আমি বলছি না, 2007 এ। So and she was like, oh, I was not even born then. so নিজেকে ডাইনোসর যুগের ছাত্রী বলে মনে করি। I am going to share just 2 slides. Just bear with me. আমাকে একটু বলতে হবে যে স্লাইডটা দেখতে পাচ্ছে কিনা। Perfect.
We can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just mode it. So as I was thinking about this webinar and my experiences, একটা quote of Rumi strikes me a lot. And it says, as you start to walk on the way appears. Now, এটার অনেক কিছু interpretation অনেকে ভাবে করে। সেটা হচ্ছে যে once like it gives clarity to the confusion, অনেকে বলে যে you don't need to be an expert if you want to start a journey. আবার অনেকে বলে if you find a new identity. আমার কাছে মনে হয় এই কোডটা gives me different meaning in my different stages of life. Right now, I feel that এটা হচ্ছে it has given me a new identity. This quotes remind me that আমি একটা নতুন একটা আইডেন্টিটি অস্ট্রেলিয়ার এখন আছি। বাংলাদেশে একরকম ছিলাম, একটা বাবলের মধ্যে ছিলাম, একই ধরনের মানুষের সাথে উঠা বসা করতাম, একই একটা ব্র্যাক থেকে পাশ করে ইউএন অর্গানাইজেশনে চাকরি করেছি, মানে there was like a very smooth transition, whereas এখানে you start from the very beginning and you find like, okay, আমি mature stage এ এসে যেখানকার এখানে সেকেন্ড জেনারেশন, আমাদের বাচ্চা কাচ্চারা হয়তো এটা ফেস করে না, যেটা আমাদেরকে করতে হয়েছে। এটা ম্যাচিউর স্টেজে এসে উই স্টার্ট ফ্রম দ্য স্ক্র্যাচ। সো আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে এই কোডটার এখন আমার স্টেজকে মনে হয় যে ইট রিমাইন্ডস মি অফ দ্যাট দ্যাট ইটস এ নিউ আইডেন্টিটি। আমার মনে আছে যখন আমি স্কুলে পড়তাম, একটা ব্যাঙ্গাচির একটা আমাদেরকে একটা লাইফ সাইকেল, ব্যাঙ্গের একটা লাইফ সাইকেল আঁকতে বলতো, যে ফার্স্টেই ব্যাংকটা ডিম থাকে, তারপর আস্তে আস্তে লেজ হয়, তারপরে আস্তে 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 ইট গোজ থ্রু দ্যাট সাইকেল। আমার মনে হয় যে অনেকে, আমি জানি না, আমরা তো ডাইনোসর যুগের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা, একটা খাতা থাকতো আপনার সায়েন্স কপির, একটা ব্ল্যাঙ্ক পেজ থাকতো, একটা রুল টানা খাতা থাকতো, আমাকে ওখানে সবসময় ওইটা আঁকতে হতো, and I was not good at drawing। তখন আমার মনে হতো আচ্ছা কেন এই ওয়াই দিস, কেন আমাকে ব্যাংকের জীবনের এই প্রণালীটা জানতে হবে। তখন আমার কাছে ইট ডিডন্ট মেক সেন্স, বাট as I grew and as I went through stages, as I'm going through motherhood, এখন মনে হয় কেন ওই লাইফ সাইকেলটা is so relevant. So having that sense in my mind, I thought like maybe this is what we all go through. এখন I have gone through different stages এখানে, and প্রত্যেকজনের কিন্তু স্টেপস আর ডিফারেন্ট। আমি জাস্ট একটা জেনারিক একটা লাইফ সাইকেল করেছি। যখন আমি আমার হাজবেন্ডকে দেখালাম, সে বলে তুমি একটা মেয়ের কেন ছবি দিলা, তুমি তো ছেলে মেয়ে দিতে পারতে। I was like, because this is the gender aspect, like we go through so many stages. নওরোজ আপু খুব সুন্দর করে বলেছেন যে আমরা মেটারনিটি লিভ, তারপরে আমাদের একটা we are women of color, আমাদের সোশিও ইকোনমিক, আমাদের কালচারাল অ্যাসপেক্ট, we come from very different. So I thought like this kind of have a ballpark, but steps গুলো differs across people. আমি যেটাকে এখন স্ট্রেস আউট করবো সেটা হচ্ছে যেহেতু আমাদের গ্রোথ এন্ড গ্রেট আমাদের আজকের ডিসকাশন, আমি আমার কিছু এক্সপিরিয়েন্স বলবো। সো আমি যখন অস্ট্রেলিয়া আসি, আই স্টার্টেড মাই পিএইচডি ইন কিউমুলেটিভ সোশিও-ইকোনমিক ইম্প্যাক্ট ইন মাইনিং টাউনস। সো ভেরি ভেরি সফট স্কিল যেটাকে বলে লিবারাল আর্টস। নওরোজ আপু, নওশের ভাই তো টেকনিক্যাল যুগের মানুষ, সো টেকনিক্যাল একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ থাকে। সো যখন আমরা অন্য একটা কালচারাল অ্যাসপেক্ট থেকে থাকি, দ্য ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিয়ার, লিবারাল আর্টস ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ইজ ভেরি ডিফারেন্ট যারা এখানে পড়াশোনা করে। তো যখন আমার পিএইচডির দিকে আগাচ্ছি, তখন হঠাৎ করে মনে হলো আমার বড় মেয়ে, এখন তার 10 হবে, সে হলো, তখন আমার মনে হলো না, তখন তার বয়স তখন একও হয়নি, যে করবো না পিএইচডি, কারণ ইটস টু মাচ, রিসার্চের পয়সা নাই, কি করা যায়। So I started up, তখন আমি কুইন্সল্যান্ডে থাকি, ইউনিভার্সিটি অফ কুইন্সল্যান্ড। I started applying, কোনো কল পাচ্ছিলাম না। যখন কল পাচ্ছিলাম না, তো দেন আমার ভাসুর থাকে না, আসিফ ভাই, তো উনি আমাকে একবার বলেছিল যে ওয়াই নট তুমি সিডনিতে অ্যাপ্লাই করে দেখো, মেবি সিডনি ক্যান ওপেন আপ আ অ্যাভিনিউ ফর মি। তো তখন আমি সিডনিতে অ্যাপ্লাই করা শুরু করলাম, এন্ড জাস্ট উইদিন আ উইক আই স্টার্টেড গেটিং কলস, মানে আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ কি, ওয়ের আর ইউ, তুমি কোথায় করতে চাও। এন্ড দেন উইদিন 2 weeks উই প্যাকড এভরিথিং, এন্ড আমার মনে হলো যে যেখানে আমি ব্রিসবেনে বসে উইদিন আ উইক অর টু আই ওয়াজ গেটিং কলস, তার মানে কি আমার স্কিলস এর ডিমান্ড আছে। এন্ড দেন আমাদের একটা গাড়ি ছিল আর আমার মেয়ে, এন্ড উই wrapped up everything in Brisbane and then moved to Sydney. সিডনিতে আসার পরে আই জয়েন্ট ডিপার্টমেন্ট অফ প্ল্যানিং অ্যান্ড এনভায়রনমেন্ট, এখন ওটা ডিপিএইচআই, হাউসিং অ্যান্ড এনভায়রনমেন্ট। ওখানে করার পরে আমার 3 মাসের কন্ট্রাক্ট ছিল। সো যখন কন্ট্রাক্ট এন্ড হলো, আমার মনে হচ্ছিল যে এটা পার্মানেন্ট কিছুতে ট্রান্সফার হবে। সো যখন শেষ হলো, তখন আই ওয়াজ ভেরি ডিমোটিভেটেড। তো তখন একজন আমার ওখানে একটা কনসালটেন্ট ছিল, তখন বলেছিল যে দেখো তোমার ফার্স্ট কন্ট্রাক্টে ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আফটার দ্যাট থিংস বিকাম ইজিয়ার, কারণ তোমার প্রথম যেটা এক্সপিরিয়েন্স সেটাই তোমাকে নেক্সট যেতে যাবে। এবং হি ওয়াজ সো ট্রু দ্যাট আমার কন্ট্রাক্ট শেষ হওয়ার ঠিক 2 দিন পরে আই গট 1 মাসে আরেকটা কন্ট্রাক্ট পেলাম। নাও ওটা শেষের পথে তখন আমি সিকে অনেক দেখছিলাম যে কি ধরনের স্কিলস ইজ ইন ডিমান্ড, কারণ আমার সফট স্কিলস, আই এম লিবারাল আর্টস। সো তখন দেখি অনেক ডেটা অ্যানালিস্টের খুব তখন ডিমান্ড, এন্ড দে ওয়ার পেইং কোয়াইট গুড, মার্কেট রেট অনেক ভালো ছিল। আমি বললাম কি করতে হয় এই ডেটা অ্যানালিস্ট করার জন্য। সো দেখলাম যে আচ্ছা এসপিএস, আচ্ছা এসপিএস তো করেছি, ইউনিভার্সিটিতে কোনো এক সময়। তো ওটাতে আমি সিটি থেকে আমার বাসার দূরত্ব ছিল 1/2 hour, and I started doing courses on the train, কারণ বাসায় গিয়ে তো আমার মেয়েকে দেখতে হবে, সো অত টাইম নেই। সো বসে বসে আবার পিএইচডিও করতেছিলাম, থিসিসও শেষ করছিলাম। সো তখন ট্রেনে বসে বসে আই স্টার্টেড আ কোর্স ইন ইউডেমি। এন্ড আমি প্রোগ্রামিং এর মানুষটা, আমার অনেকে হয়তো রিসার্চ পাঠান স্যারের ক্লাস করেছেন এখানে, উনি বলতেন যে আপনাকে দিয়ে এটা হবে না হুমায়রা, আপনি আপনি এটা পারবেন না। সো ইট ওয়াজ ভেরি ভেরি ডিফিকাল্ট ফর মি, বাট কনসোল কোনটা, কোথায় প্রোগ্রামিং করতে হবে, কোথায় সিনট্যাক্স করতে হবে, সবকিছু ওয়াজ ভেরি ভেরি কনফিউজিং অ্যান্ড অ্যালার্মিং ফর মি। কিন্তু ওই ইচ্ছাটা ছিল যে হ্যাঁ, কেন এত ডিমান্ড, কেন, তার মানে দিস ইজ দ্য নিউ বিগ থিং। So I started doing it, and within 2 months I got into Ministry of Health. তারপরে ওখান থেকে সিডনি ওয়াটারে গত 8 বছর ধরে আছি। সিডনি ওয়াটার ইন্টারেস্টিং, আমি টেকনিক্যাল স্কিলেই এন্টার করি অ্যাজ আ ডেটা অ্যানালিস্ট, বাট দেন when I saw an opening in the regulatory frame, যেখানে আমি আমার সফট স্কিল, যেটা আমার প্যাশন, ইকোনমিক্স এন্ড দেন ব্লেন্ডিং ম্যাক্রো এন্ড ম্যাক্রো ইকোনমিক্স, আমি আমার কাজটা বলি, আমি যেটা করি সেটা হচ্ছে ফেয়ার প্রাইসেস, কারণ সিডনি ওয়াটার একটা মনোপলি, বাট দে হ্যাভ টু সাবমিট এভরি 5 বছর পর তাদেরকে গভর্নমেন্টকে বলতে হয় যে আমরা এই প্রাইসগুলো সেট করবো। সো আমি ওই প্রাইস সেটিং এ কাজ করি। সো যেটা রেজোনেটস মোর উইথ মাই ইন্টারেস্ট, উইথ মাই প্যাশন, বাট and that because I took that risk, I took that effort, I think that's why I was able to kind of get here. Also আমার সবচেয়ে বড় নেক্সট চ্যালেঞ্জ আমি বলবো যে, যেহেতু ফিমেল যারা আছেন, আমার নেক্সট বিগ চ্যালেঞ্জ ছিল ড্রাইভিং লাইসেন্স। This was a very very big thing for me. আমি 5 বার ফেল করেছি, and I'm not ashamed of saying so. আমার মনে হচ্ছে আমার পিএইচডি ডিগ্রি পেয়ে আমি যতটা খুশি হয়নি সেখানে যতটা আমি আমার ড্রাইভিং লাইসেন্স পেয়ে খুশি হয়েছি। সো আই উড হাইলি হাইলি এনকারেজ পিপল যে ফ্রিডমটা পাওয়া যায়, যে নিজের পছন্দ মতো গান জোরে ছেড়ে চালায় যাওয়া, সেটার মতো সুখ আমার মনে হয় আর কিছুতে পাওয়া যায় না। বাট হ্যাঁ, Shadman, I hope I've covered in 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Apu. You were right on time, in time. Inspiring journey. I think we have all something from here to learn from your journey. We'll be going to our next speaker. At a friendly reminder for the audience, we are collecting questions for our panelist members, and amra chat box apnara questions gula you can just jot it down. Ishad bhai is collating them probably, and just put them through as generic questions, or if it's directed towards a certain speaker, please put that through and we would be answering them very soon. So everyone, we would be moving to our next respected alumni here, Ayesha Apu, who has a lot of experience. I would let her speak for herself. And Ayesha Apu, we would give you the floor, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you, Shadman, and thanks for having me here. I'm Ayesha, fall 2002 CSE, currently working as a senior engineer at Salesforce. I'm sure you guys are all having a great evening tonight. And first of all, yeah, I'm very happy to share my career journey with you guys. And to begin with, I'd like to give like a big shout out to all the organizers for volunteering your time and effort in making this event happen today. And I'm also happy to be here. So yeah, to begin my story really started back in Bangladesh as expected. I finished my graduation, then joined Grameenphone as a system engineer, just like Nowroz, and spent a few years there. And then I decided to move on. I wanted to migrate to Australia. And lucky for me, software engineering was high on demand at that time. So I got the skilled independent visa rather smoothly, rather fast. Within 8 months, I think the process ended. And I came in Melbourne in 2012, February. It took me a while to land a job, as Nawsher was also talking about the local experience thing, struggle I also had. And it took me 4 months to land my first job. It was with a small company at that time. You might now know it as Afterpay, or rather now known as a Block, I guess, because they have been through several acquisitions. So after I settled myself in a little bit there, I have a nature that is called ambitious, and I'm not ashamed of it. You also should be ambitious about your career. So I did not want to stay there for long. I wanted to progress my career. So what I did is I started looking for opportunities, and I went through several roles, and I will highlight one of them that gave me the maximum amount of growth that I have had in my career so far, both personally and professionally. So that was, interestingly, that was not one of the Fortune 500 company that I have had pleasure in working. It was a small company called Intellematics. It's a subsidiary of RSEV. And why I had the maximum amount of growth is because I think I was in the right place on the right time, because they wanted to go through the cloud transition. And I was in a sweet spot. I spent a year there, so learned about the system. And then when the cloud transition came, I jumped on board. Like, I was all ears to get upskilled. And obviously the employer loves it when an employee is wanting to upskill themselves to help assist in the transition. So that was a great opportunity for me, and it opened up a lot of doors for me from there, because with the, I think it practically changed the trajectory of my career. Because before that, I was like walked down in Java, and that's it, like one programming language for life. But after this experience, I started calling myself a polyglot, and I sort of, like, right now I call myself agnostic. Like, I can work on any platform. I have that confidence. So yeah, that gave me that edge in my career. And at the same time, which probably will be a great takeaway for the listeners, at the same time, something I did which gave me that confidence boost. I started going to meetups. And started mixing with the community, and started building my community. So the networking and connection that Nawsher was referring to. So started building those things. And one community really stands out in shaping me into what I am right now. It's called DevOps Girls. So right now they are known as, I think, DevOps Represent, because they want to be more inclusive, open to all kind of genders. So this DevOps Girls community, through this community, really, I got in touch with so many great connections, great networks. They are still in my life. They're still on my LinkedIn. They're great peers, great mentors. They're very supportive, down to earth people. And it opened up so many opportunities. You can't believe this. I went to boot camps. I went to workshops. I even went to conferences and participated in so many events. And one thing what I also did is I was very open to anything that came along. So I'm a software engineer. I'll be doing coding, but no, I was open to anything. I did machine learning workshop. I did capture the flag, so security workshop. So I had zero knowledge about security, but I went ahead and did capture some flags, which was amazing. And at the same time, I was very vocal on LinkedIn at that stage of my life, because I was getting all this opportunity, and I wanted to thank them back for giving me those opportunity. And I was very vocal, and I was posting about them, showing my gratitude. And it was very organic. It was not like I was doing to gain something. I was just saying thanks. And it was like a win-win situation. So whoever was giving me those favor, they were happy. And it was also doing something that I did not intend to do. It was putting me on the limelight for potential recruiters. So for my next role, I was headhunted. I never actually contemplated working for a bank, which I did. My next role was with ME Bank as a contractor, as a consultant. So the recruiter of ME Bank reached out to me because they saw the kind of work I'm doing, and they also had legacy system they want to move away from. They want to go to cloud. And when they see that, okay, this person has this relevant experience, and this person is very coachable, and they are doing all this exciting stuff, so we want them. So they came along and gave me a great offer that I could not refuse. So I went ahead and I took it. And that added an amazing edge to my career, which I also never thought of having, which was the consultancy flavor. So consultants, what they do is software, apart from software engineer, obviously we turn our camera off and we code along. But consultancy, you do talking, you do collaboration. So it's a kind of a different edge. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. And I guess that again shaped me into for my next role, so which was with AWS. So with AWS, the role was the title was confusing. It's prototyping engineer. Doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but what it was under the line, it was senior solution architect. So it entailed me to go and speak to customer, do workshops with them, and understand their problem, and then find a business solution, and then also architect it, because I'm a software engineer and I've also have to do the implementation and then showcase it. So this enabled me to know how to handle C-suite stakeholders, because all the comms was with the C-suite level of any of the companies that I was working with, and end-to-end project management. So that was giving me that edge. But obviously, as you can probably realize, that came along with all my challenges of traveling. So I had to do quite a bit of traveling, and I had a young family at that time, so it was not sustainable for me, which is what landed me where I am right now with Salesforce. So I am in a very comfortable situation. I am back to my programming days. Like, I was in programming days in AWS as well, but more face-to-face kind of situation was there, which now I don't have to do, but everything else remains the same. Like, I have to work end-to-end feature. I have to still manage stakeholders, internal stakeholders. So I'm in a great spot at the moment, and I'm pacing myself, right? Like, I'm prioritizing my pace as also including education in my plan. So I'm doing masters in AI, and I'm very fortunate to say that my employer is sponsoring my education, which works really well for me. So that's pretty much like a condensed version of my career so far. I'd like to add some takeaways. In the interest of time, I don't think I have much time left, but I would still see how much I can cover. So one reflection I'd like to add, like on a hindsight. So when I mentioned that I came to Australia and I waited for 4 months to land a job that I wanted. So on a hindsight, if I could go back in time, what I could do differently, I would have done differently, is go for any kind of role that Nowroz was talking about. So go for any kind of role. And I feel like I missed out on an opportunity there, because when if I went for, like, a blue collar role or manual role or retail, whatever it is, I would have that opportunity to manage or handle, have dynamics of human behavior. And as you go in your career, as you progress, you will see that tech is easy, policy is easy, strategy is easy. What's difficult is human. So managing that human interaction, collaboration, synergy, that's the skill that I feel like I missed out on. Like, I could have banked that opportunity. So whoever is coming new in Australia, grab that opportunity. It may not be the shiniest armor on your portfolio, may not benefit you financially that much, but it will add up to your soft skills later on. And the next thing I want to say is that be very ambitious, and be strategic and intentional about your career moves. So make career moves, but do not keep hopping, right? So do not stay stuck somewhere. I would highly say do not do that, because that is not great for it's not great for your growth. So do make moves, but know why you are making those moves. Compensation, obviously, that's an important aspect. But when I choose next career role that I'm going to go to, I put the compensation aside, and I also always look that what is this role adding to my portfolio? Is it something new I'm learning? Is it a new experience I'm going to get? Is it a new edge that I'm going to get? So that's what helps me decide whether I'm going to take that role or not. And as I said, that be strategic. So as I was saying that, after I got my first role, I quickly made my career progression. And so in between, I missed, I did not mention one part, so which was a strategic move I took. So one of the company I moved into just for the interest of getting the progression that I need in my career. I did not have intention to spend a long time there or grow there, but I made that strategic move. So be intentional and strategic about your move, because no one else will come and design your career for you. It's your responsibility. And be loyal to yourself. So invest in your skill. You don't need to be showing loyalty to your employer, but to yourself, to your own growth. And it builds connections, as I have already highlighted, something that I have done differently. And I'm glad that I have done that. And the next thing I want to say is that keep upgrading your skills, so wherever you go, you add value. And another important, it's an interesting thing that I have learned. I tell myself that have a consultancy mindset. So what I mean by that is that, when you are a consultant, everywhere you will see there are internal complexities where you are going as a consultant. You want to solve their problem. You don't want to add to their problem. You want to go dip your toe into the water just as much as it gets wet, but does not get stuck in the mud. So you don't get too involved. You understand the complexity and you try to solve the problem, but do not become part of that complexity. So whenever things get complicated, like at work, we work with passionate software engineer, things get complicated, and I wear that consultant hat that time. And I think that, okay, this is where I step back and where get my consultancy mindset on. So that's all. And one more, just the last bit of information is that pace yourself, like prioritize your well-being, and not just your physical well-being, also your mental well-being. And you don't have to go fast all the time. Going slow, but going steady is also important. All the best, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayesha Apu. And I think you have lived the life of a CSC graduate's dream life, the type of journey someone wishes for. A lot of experience, a lot of versatile experience, and very, very, very useful insights and guidelines, I would say, for the new generation. So we have been collating a few questions that were sent in the chat box or personally sent to Ishad Bhai, and we have them listed here on the Google Slides. I would share my screen and we'd go one at a time. I think.
Don't share, Shadman. Just ask the questions. So.
Okay, I'll just keep reading then. Actually, that would be easier. So the first question that we have here was, which type of courses have real value in the job market? I know this would vary from from different course areas. It would vary a bit, but we have four BRACU alumni here in different industries. So if I had to start with, let's start with, for example, let's go on with Nowroz Apu, and we can have insights from the others as well. Nowroz Apu, which types of courses do you think would have real value in the job market? You can say based on your field of expertise, and we can move on to the other panelists as well.
Currently, if you really ask that question, I would say something to do with AI. Go and learn something about AI, how to create the chatbot or how to create the agents and all that other stuff to start with. Get a bit of an understanding. It's a very volatile situation and it's changing every single day. So if you're an IT graduate or anyone working on a data analyst, this could be a bit of a feather in your resume or your skill set. That's number one. Number two is that it depends on what you wanted to do. Like I did Agile because I work mostly on project management. So right now everyone is working on Agile. So if you want to do any kind of a Scrum courses, that would be really helpful for you. You can be a Scrum Master, you can be a Scrum Product Manager. So this would be my two take. If you wanted to work any fast-moving corporation or a big organization, these are the two that I would suggest.
Thank you, Apu. Nawsher, do you want to add something to it based on your skills and your experience?
Sure. First of all, I agree with Nowroz Apu. AI and the Scrum product owner is a key one. I also did the same. AI is something, an evolving skill that we all have to do. The one thing I did was design thinking. So if you want to explore your career in product, that's an important skill set that you need to have. So it's about human-centered design thinking. So that's very valuable when you want to grow your career in product management.
Humaira, if you want to say something about the courses that you think would add value in this market.
Yes, I was just tracking. It's not related to my field, but it's something that has popped up quite significant. It's about cybersecurity. There's a lot of jobs in cybersecurity. Also, an interesting area that's coming after this Iran and USA war is data centers infrastructure, how to secure them. So there's been a lot of talk about specialists who can actually migrate these data centers or in building those data centers in a secured environment. So I think there's a new demand skills that's kind of arising regarding the data centers. But yeah, that's something to watch on.
Thank you, Humaira Apu. Ayesha Apu, you're already doing a master's in artificial intelligence. I think that would be the
Yes.
first subject you would say that adds real value to the job market. But anything besides that you think would be helpful for new graduates or um, people like us who probably has a few years of job experience here, but we want to add a bit more uh, to our skill set and make us more job ready for bigger roles and to scale up, vertically or get more opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. I probably not a generic one, but if there is anyone from CSE or willing to bank that area, so I'd suggest if there's one skill you need to learn, that's Python. If that's going to give you edge on a lot of things, so learn that. And other than that, in generic, I guess what Humaira mentioned, cybersecurity is a great spot. There are a lot of job opportunities these days, I see. And AI is basically what you need to know is how to use it, because I'm doing AI and I know how to do the models and stuff, but not necessarily, not everyone needs to jump on that area. So you need to be able to utilize it. So like Nowroz was mentioning, that learn to build the agents and stuff. So when I say that learn Python, because Python is a very easy programming language, and I feel like anyone can pick it up, like even if you're not technical, that's going to be a great asset if you could venture into that.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks.
Ashapu. The next question that we had here, I think I'll direct this towards Nawsher Bhaiya. Because I remember while he was presenting, he said he had four versions of CVs when he was here and trying to talk to different people. So this question was, what are the key differences between CV formats in Bangladesh and Australia? So we do know that we try to create CVs for our retail jobs and other jobs, but we have graduates who have worked in Bangladesh, probably in higher senior levels. But then again, still, besides having that experience, a CV format or how you structure things with your photo on the CV or a lot of details on the CV and how you see it here when you come to Australia, it might be completely different. They might be looking at specific things other than what we see in Bangladesh. So if you want to share a bit of your knowledge or based on what did you try and what worked out for you, how did you structure your CVs and what helped you during your initial days and how this has changed over the years and how do you make the changes?
Sure. First of all, great question. I think this is one of the first things we all want to do, right? So first of all, I didn't share my photo on resume or CV. Number one. Number two is I'll give you a real insight from, because I used to recruit a lot of people both in Bangladesh and also in here, right? So one of the first thing is when someone reads your CV, they have to understand um, two things very clearly. Number one, it in less than, I don't know, less than a minute like of reading the CV, they need to understand what's your real background or skill sets, number one, and how are you going to add that value to this job specifically. That's the two things. So 2 3 pages of CVs is not important. You have to really narrow it down, be very specific. And that's how I ended up creating 3 or 4 versions. So I looked at, okay, in my experience, what are the skill set that I could capitalize on in this market, right? So one was, let's say, project management. The other was, let's say, product owner. The other was actually what Nowroz was doing, business analyst, right? So there are like different versions of it. It's the same skill set, but the summary was same experience, but you are positioning yourself or highlighting on a specific thing. So start with the brief, very high level executive summary, then the key skill set that's relevant to that job description. Always read the job description. And the third is start with number one, the experience. That's how I started. What's the latest experience? And at the end, it's just grad school. Where did you like computer science, BRAC University? That's it. You don't have to write a whole history of your life there, right? And make sure when you're building out your CVs, like although I had 3 to 4 versions, I also created my LinkedIn chronology in a way that if someone looked at the CV on LinkedIn, they could correlate, not from a job title perspective, but okay, Nawsher is saying, okay, I have this skill set from this market or this job, there's a relevant section in LinkedIn on that. And also for that section, you'll see LinkedIn has projects, right? So you can write down, you have worked in this project, blah, 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 this kind of experience. And do reach out to your colleagues who you have worked with to write something about you, who are your well wishers. That really helps. For me, that helped land. Like it works like a validation. Like you're not saying something out of the blue. There's a real connection to it. So people's recommendation that you have worked with matters. Your manager's recommendation matters. Your peers' recommendation matters. Your partners that you worked with, stakeholders that you worked with, those matters. So make sure each project that you have at least one recommendation. So those are the things. The other thing I did in the LinkedIn is if you look at my LinkedIn, every job description will have a relevant news article. For Cell Buzzer, there is a relevant news article. Because you have to understand in this market, no one knows Cell Buzzer, no one knows Bikash. But a relevant news article helps them quickly identify, and also it gives you the right feed to the LinkedIn bots or whatever is required, right? And the last thing is identify what from your skill set, what are the things that you want to highlight. For me, let's say it was product management. So I made sure that skill set is there in the LinkedIn skills, right? So these are some of the things that I tried, which worked and still works. Um, and even today, if I look at someone's CV, I don't look at the full CV. I just, first of all, I try to look at the summary. Then I looked at the LinkedIn to understand if there is a relationship and try to see some of the reviews or recommendations or connections in common. So those are the things that matters.
Thank you, Noshaba. That was very insightful, and I totally
Shadman,
agree with you. Yeah,
can I add something with
sure, sure,
Norsha if
sure.
you feel okay with it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
currently, because where I work right now, there are 30,000 employees over there, and a lot of people wants to work for that financial organization where I work. Because I am partly involved in the recruitment procedures. Whenever you apply, if you wanted to apply for this bigger financial organization, the thing is that use the words that is into the job advertisement and make sure you have got synonyms or similar words in your resume, because HR people is not going to read through your resume. So what they did, they have got a system, they have got an application, they put your resume on it and they skim it through. So if you think that your synonyms are very hard or you're writing it out in a different way, your resume will not be picked up by bigger organization. So this is one thing that you need to make sure that you are using the similar words or the same words, which are the important part of this job ad in your resume or your application. And the other bit is that make sure, as Nawsher has said, what value you are going to add. We have been strictly said that with the new restructure and everything, whether this person is going to add any dollar value. So when Nawsher say that you're going to add some value, make sure with your last job or last work you have done, you have got some numbers over there. So where I have worked, I've made this kind of a changes which have incremented the revenue of 10% or make some data cleaner. So we need to have some kind of a number over there. Otherwise, you will not be picked up. The market is very big and there are a lot of applicants. So we have to stand out over there. That's my add-on with Notion. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you.
Nowroz.
That's very relevant. Yep.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we have that ATS application tracking system where the keywords play the major role. So thank you so much. I'll go on to the next question, actually. Okay, so this I would direct this question towards Humaira if you wanna say something related to this. So what we wanted to know was, like, we are fortunate to have so many inspiring women leaders here, but what's that one piece of advice for women trying to build their careers while also prioritizing their families? Because with family, with kids, it might become difficult, as uh, some of our guests here have mentioned today, like they have lost years in their career while prioritizing. Obviously it was for their own family, but then again, how do you actually roll up your sleeves and again get going and make sure that you are starting with the same impact that how you left. You start with the same energy and make sure that your career is still on track and you're not dating behind other people in the same journey.
Very good question. And I am at this moment struggling with this same problem because যখনই মনে হয় একটা হায়ার রোলে অ্যাপ্লাই করব, আচ্ছা 3 বাচ্চাকে নিয়ে কি সময় পারবো, will I do justice, আমার পক্ষে কি সম্ভব, আমার হাজবেন্ডের because he works in a very, his work is very, মানে it's not 9 to 5, it varies. সো আমি কিভাবে কি করব, সো আই মানে এটা আমি আমার সাথে নিজের সাথে এখন এটা জাগল করছি। বাট দ্য থিং ইজ স্পেশালি উইমেন অফ কালার, আমাদের যেটা সমস্যা, উই আন্ডারএস্টিমেট আওয়ার স্কিলস। যদি সবসময় মনে করি আমাকে একটা জব অ্যাপ্লিকেশনে আমাকে 100% যা যা চাইছে তা করতে হবে, দ্যাটস নট ট্রু। যেখানে একটা হোয়াইট মেল বলে আমি 50% পারলে আমি অ্যাপ্লাই করব, একটা ব্রাউন মেল বলে আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে আমি 75%, whereas we think আমাকে 100% বা 95% করতে হবে। এই মেন্টালিটিটা থেকে আমাদেরকে সরে আসতে হবে। যখন একটা কিছু অ্যাডভার্টাইজ করি, ইউ ডোন্ট নিড টু ওভারসেল ইয়োরসেলফ বাট নট আন্ডারসেল অলসো। আরেকটা কথা হচ্ছে আমরা স্যালারি নিয়ে নিজেকে খুব মনে করি যে আচ্ছা বেশি চাইলে যদি এটাকে বেশি চাও হয়ে গেল। I would strongly suggest read the market, talk to your peers. মানে স্যালারি জানাটা, যে মার্কেট স্যালারি কি, এটা কিন্তু কোনো লজ্জার বিষয় না। আমাদেরকে কালচারালি আমরা মনে করি ও জিজ্ঞেস করবো আচ্ছা কি হবে, কারো পার্সোনাল স্যালারি জিজ্ঞেস করার দরকার নেই, বাট হোয়াট ইজ দ্য মার্কেট, হোয়াট ক্যান আই আস্ক, এটা যেমন একটা অনেক বড় একটা স্ট্রাগল আমরা ফেস করি, স্পেশালি উইমেন অফ কালার, যে আচ্ছা আমরা কি কি জিজ্ঞেস করবো, আচ্ছা বেশি চাইলে যদি না দেয় বা আমার অপরচুনিটি শেষ হয়। ডোন্ট আন্ডারসেল ইয়োর সেলফ। And next, আমি just maternity leave থেকে 2 months back, আগে আমি স্টার্ট করলাম ফেব্রুয়ারি থেকে, and I just feel like an intern now, coming back to the role, and it's overwhelming, it's very difficult, but you just have to take it one at a time. Don't be rough on yourself. I tell myself, oh, it's okay. আর এই কাজের ব্যাগেজটা কখনো বাসায় নিয়ে যেতে হবে না। কাজ, and it's not like it is your identity, but it's not everything. যেটা আয়শা আপু খুব সুন্দর করে বলছিল যে মেন্টাল ওয়েলবিং ইজ অলসো ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। ফাইন্ড ইউর সুইট স্পট।
Thank you, Humaira Apu. I think.
Sorry, I just want to add a little bit on
Sure.
yeah, piggyback on that. So bit of an information, you can use, there are resources online, like for example, Glassdoor is a really great place for you to understand that those kind of information. And you can, these days, Google has AI mode, you can use that. And also if you are looking for those Fortune 500 companies, there's a website called Levels FYI that would give you the compensation, what you can expect in each levels. So just a bit of an information.
Yeah, just because you have spoken about this, we had this question here, where I'll just actually read it out. When you said you need to understand how to use the AI models, can you point out anything specific? Yeah.
Oh, is it to me? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, actually, I did not mean that you need to understand the AI model. I said you don't need to know how the AI model underneath is working, because that process is quite complex and you have to do a lot of study to get into there. What I'm saying is that as the time is evolving, we need to be able to leverage it. Like we need to be able to yield output from it, and we need to be in that position that I know what to use, take AI as a tool. So you just need to know which tool to grab when. So that's all I meant to say, that do not need to be deep into the modeling part of AI.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the next question, I would like to direct as this question to Nowroz Apu, because I remember, I think you came in here as a student, if I remember correct. So this question says, like, sometimes things don't go as planned, like delays in career or PR. From your perspective, how would you recommend staying strong and motivated and continuing moving forward? And when we say that, we also sometimes have delays in visa processing or things like that, where the PR is in an uncertainty. And how do you deal with that situation where you don't know what's like, how should you focus on career, or should you be focusing on gathering points for your PR as well? So how do you stay motivated during that process, and what worked for you during that journey?
আমার ক্ষেত্রে যেটা কাজ করেছে সেটা হচ্ছে আই কেম হিয়ার অন স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা, বাট আমার হাজবেন্ড আসলে স্কিল মাইগ্রেশন নিয়ে চলে এসেছিল নেক্সট ইয়ারে। সো থ্যাংক গড আমাকে পয়েন্ট কালেক্ট করতে হয় নাই, বাট আই ওয়াজ থিঙ্কিং অ্যাবাউট ইট ডেফিনেটলি। নাম্বার 2, আমরা যেটা ভুল করি সেটা হচ্ছে সবাই ইটস নট আ রেস। আমরা এখানে আসলে কোনো রেস জিততে আসি নাই। ইউ নিড টু আস্ক ইয়োরসেলফ where you will be happy. Someone like Humaira is probably happy after Choto target is important. Like Humaira wanted to do a PhD in her life. She achieved it. Ayesha maybe wanted to work on a cloud-based project. She achieved it. She is happy. She felt content. So mental health there এই জিনিসটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে আমরা কি করতে চাই, আমরা ছোট ছোট গোল সেট করি নিজেদের জন্য। লেটস নট ফোকাস অন at the end of the day আমার 4টা বাড়ি লাগবে, 5টা গাড়ি লাগবে, I wanted to be living on this lavish life. আমি এটা সম্ভবত হুমায়রা বলেছিল যে যখন আমরা এখানে আসি তখন আমরা আসলে বাংলাদেশ থেকে যখন আসি, we got the similar level of people. We have got our own friends from BRAC University. We work in a good organization, and we have got our own family over there. আমরা এখানে লোনলি এবং আমরা এখানে আমার আব্বা যেরকম করে বলে যে সেটা হচ্ছে তুমি অনেক জাতের মানুষের সাথে মিশো। Probably you won't ever meet them in Bangladesh as well. You wouldn't ever know. You don't even need to meet them. So that creates a kind of a complex situation where competition happens. কারোটা দেখে আমরা envy করি, কারোটা দেখে আমরা sad হই। So আমার কাছে মনে হয় let's set goal for ourselves. আমি যেটা করেছিলাম, let's do small goals. আমার জন্য একটা ছোট job important ছিল because I couldn't get a job into IT. As I was telling you, Adelaide is a very tough market. Till today, Adelaide is a very tough market. আমি যদি সিডনি যেতাম বা মেলবোর্ন যেতাম, things would have been something different. So I started something where I got my local experience, as Nawsher said, doesn't need to be on your career. Do something else and get the local experience, and then gradually step ahead and achieve your goal. হ্যাঁ, আমাদের সময় লাগতে পারে, আমাদের পিআর এর পয়েন্ট কালেক্ট করার জন্য ইস্যুস হতে পারে, বাট I'm not justifying that PR is a wrong thing. PR is also important. কারণ আমাদের যদি পিআরটা না থাকে, we have to all go back to Bangladesh. So এটাও একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট পয়েন্ট যে আমরা কাজ করছি, আর যেখানে কাজ করছি না কেন, just keep it in your head, everything has got a transferable skill. আমি যখন লেন্ডিং এ কাজ করে কাগজ প্রসেস করতাম, as Ayesha has said, that I worked with so many different multicultural people over there that I have got the exposure to people management. মানুষের সাথে কিভাবে কাজ করতে and different perspective of people. So small goals are really good, and that will keep you motivated. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Apu. And this is a question I think it would be more relatable to any of you who look into CVs of people as well when you are hiring probably someone for a junior roles, or it can be an intern, it can be a junior role, or it can be anyone else that যখন আপনাদের উপর রেসপন্সিবিলিটিটা থাকে that you are specifically told, okay, we are hiring someone for your team, or we are looking into this person, you have been in this role, probably you have grown from that role to a different role, and they want to have someone there, you're looking into CVs. আমাদের এরকম অনেক স্টুডেন্টরাই থাকে যারা হয়তো বা বাংলাদেশে ব্যাচেলার্স করে আসলো, ফর এক্সাম্পল ইফ আই সে সিএসসি গ্রাজুয়েটস, তারা ব্যাচেলার ইন সিএসসি করলো, and they probably worked there as well with some good experience, and they come in for masters here, and while they are students, because they have worked so much back in Bangladesh, probably কোনো একটা ভালো tech firm, they were senior coders, programmers, or software developers. So a lot of the students here, while they're students here in masters or ono kono course, they face this problem where for a lot of the jobs they ask for a security clearance, jeta student visa te thaka obosthay it's very difficult. Unless you're a citizen, probably you don't get that security clearance. So it becomes a dilemma for a lot of students that ekhon kibhabe mane আমার অপরচুনিটিটা আছে, আমার স্কিলটা আছে, I know I can do the job, I can see what the job description requires, what it says, and I have a very strong portfolio. আমার GitHub দেখলে হয়তো বা কেউ বুঝতে পারবে the amount of experience and skills I have, but just because of the security clearance they're not being able to apply for that specific job. I know there would be other options as well, but when someone wants to specifically, you actually like the job and you can contribute. So for this sort of situations, uh, from a recruiting perspective, or when you are seeing CVs, what can you advise to the students here who are facing these problems, and what can be a way around for them? I know there cannot be a solution because the security clearance, it requires probably a permanent residency or a citizenship, but is there a way around, if not a proper solution to this, how they can still go for the job? So if I start with Nawsher bhai, if you want to say something about this, please.
Okay. First of all, just to understand the question. So when you say security clearance, so these are typically certain high confidential government jobs or something like that, which requires special security clearance to do the job, right?
I would
That's
assume so
the,
for a lot of jobs, yeah.
yeah.
And
Okay. So
sometimes,
first,
sorry to add, sometimes for other jobs, even if it's not government jobs, they might still ask for some clearance just to see if you were, if you have a, if they specifically need a background check or something like that. It probably is a bit more than a police check.
okay, I see. All right. Okay. So one thing I can share from my experience. So let's say in my last gig in Kaskal, I did recruit quite a few people. So there are two parts to it, right? So one is certain things like whether the visa is the right visa for this company, whether what kind of background check is required. Like there, as let's say, as someone who's recruiting, like a hiring manager, you cannot do much from an influencing perspective. It's really up to the policy, and the PNC people and culture and HR people cannot do much either. So it's there's certain legislations, laws, and regulations they have to follow. So they would have to abide by that. So there's no, so to speak, as far as I know, no way around it, right? So the way I would approach it is, right, so if a certain job requires those kind of special requirements, maybe it's not the right time for you. Yes, you might be the right person for it, but not the right time. So just look for the ones that's relevant to you. And I would really recommend something that Nowroz just said, setting the small goals, right? So you don't have to do everything. Try to find your right fit at the right time, and look for those, right? So get your footsteps into this side, into the market. You're in that position, and who knows, like once you are settled in, once you have the right clearance, PR or citizenship, whatever, you'll go through it, right? So it's I have seen it in two companies. One is the first consulting company that I worked in. So they used to sponsor people. So their policy was, in order to get skilled people, they would sponsor someone, right? So they're like a software SaaS company, software as a service company. So they wanted skilled people with lower salary acceptance. But the way they would compensate is, okay, if you work for us, let's say 1 year or 2 years, we would sponsor you for visa or something like that. And of course, if you have the good performance. But where I worked last in Kaskal, we did not have that, right? So the only way, if you don't get those pass those background checks, you wouldn't get in because it's a financial industry. It's a like it's a highly regulated industry. They would not be even be able to do so. I I understand it's not helpful, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah, sometimes we need the reality check to
Mm.
understand not everything would be how we want it. We need to
Mm,
set small goals and probably be
mm,
there when it's the correct time.
right.
Next question. I would direct this
Can
towards
I
Ayesha.
add an hi, sorry, it's me, Sadia. Can I add some question on to Naushar Bhai's comment? Sorry.
Yep.
Because you said if there's a certain regulation that would say that you're not eligible at the moment, in regards to the security clearance, would you still like contact any of them, contact that company to express your interest into joining them at that moment? Would it be helpful? Because if, let's just say, that company is your desired goal, would you go for them at that time, or would you wait?
Good question. So I can share what I do, right? So in my experience, even if you get a no from someone for any reason, whatever reason that may be, whether it's a security clearance or they say they're very vague, you're not the right person for the job, always be direct in asking, hey, thanks for the opportunity, but can you explain, um, where I can improve, or what did you see not the right fit, so that I can improve myself on that. So in Australia, they're sort of like they're bound to explain with clarity, right? So even if I don't hire you, I have to explain with clarity that why am I not hiring you, and that has to be within the legal boundary. I cannot just make up something. Um, as long as it's not sensitive information. So they may not reveal everything, but they will reveal certain things. So I would encourage ask away, like, yes, I'm still interested, but can you explain why not, and what can I do to prepare myself for the next one? So even if it doesn't work out, do get that clarity. Does that
Thank
answer
you.
your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Nawsher. Aisha Apu, in very short, because I remember you said dealing with people can sometimes be difficult. That is something we need to learn here in Australia. That's how the workspace is. Not always you would be just behind a computer or just limited to yourself. So when it comes to networking, we did talk about Nawsher Bhaiya and Humaira Apu, Nowroz Apu. Everyone shared their experience about LinkedIn and other things. So when it comes to in-person networking, if you can in very short let us know, like if someone's an introvert, we are not all the same, not everyone would be want to be around people and talk and make the first move, go and say hi and talk, let them know about their skills. For someone who's introvert or someone who does not have that experience of going into networking events or talking with people on their own, what can you suggest? How can they break that barrier? Or even if they're not breaking that barrier, what can be a way for them to do the networking? Because sometimes only LinkedIn profile or our socials or our portfolio always does not work in our favor. Sometimes you need to talk to people and get to know them and let them know in person about your skills as well. If you, in short, if you could tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, interesting question. I guess what an introvert person can do is go and take part in those, as example I given the meetups, right? So those are community events open for everyone. You go and take part in them. Like if you are, you don't have to talk to anyone. Like those things are like they are teaching you something, and you sit down and you take the lesson from there, and maybe you break your ice, like because there are in the meetups there are certain cycles where you can actually mingle among each other. So I guess that's the kind of thing. I mean, other than that, like obviously for introverts this is a difficult thing. Online presence is important. LinkedIn also, like in there you're not talking to anyone. You can post away, you can highlight yourself, you can put the projects like Nawsher has mentioned. So that's how you put yourself in the center of attention, not necessarily doing any interaction yourself. So you are posting yourself. So you don't have to do the talking or communication in there. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So that's probably how I would approach things.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
add something to you,
Mhm.
Aisha?
Sure. Yeah.
So first of all, yes, just like you, I also went to a few meetups. At first, it was very awkward. It's okay. Still go there, start mingling. That's the best thing you can do to yourself. Number one. The other thing I tried very recently, I think it was very helpful. It's a if anyone has heard of improv classes. So if you can get into an improv class, like they really push you in those awkward situations. You don't have to finish all the stages, start in the beginning level, but it breaks that inner barrier that you have. It helped me, so I hope it helps others.
Thank you, Nawsher Bhaiya. As we're going very close to the end of our session, in very short, Humaira Apu, because you've uh, done the PhD, you were enrolled in the PhD. So we had a question or inquiry where is it possible to get a job during the PhD that supports your career growth? I would personally say yes, but what I would like to add to it is with the intense pressure of a PhD, the pressure cooker situation and the readings after readings that you have to do, how possible it is, or how much do you think it is possible for someone to do a full-time job and also do a PhD? Is it possible? Or if not, what should be the way to go during a PhD and still make sure you're having a job in your field?
You can, nothing is impossible. Simultaneously আমি দেখেছি full time PhD করতে full time চাকরি তাদেরকে they are exceptional cases. Let's talk about the mediocre, the normal density. It is difficult, but I would suggest যারা PhD করছে যেটা আমি if I would have had the chance to go back, I would have taken up a casual job. যেটা আয়শা আপু বলছিল যে it helps you in the long run. It's people management. You understand people. আমরা অন্য কালচার অন্য আইডেন্টিটি আসছি যখন আমরা ক্যাজুয়াল জবে থাকি we meet different type of people, we know the mindset. So আমার যেটা মনে হয় যে even if you're doing a PhD, no job is less or more. Just take it. It adds up later in life. It adds up. আমি বলবো যে just don't get hooked up in those research projects. আমি যেরকম পড়াতাম tutoring করতাম, but now if I think back, I should have taken up a casual, even in cash job too, that would have helped me in managing people. যেটা আয়শা আপু সুন্দরভাবে বলেছে যে take up. It doesn't need to be a full-time office job, but you need to step aside of that comfort zone.
Yeah. Thank you, Humaira Apu. I think we are very close to the ending time of our webinar today. Before I move on to the next part, I would firstly thank all of our panelists, respected alumni here for making time out of their busy schedule and sharing their journey with us. I personally, I would say I've learned a lot, and probably I might seek some advice from all of you and bug you with my messages. A bit of mentorship would be very helpful, and I think a lot of us would appreciate that as well. We would definitely reach out to you. I personally believe we have chosen four very skilled and very deserving people to be here with us today to share your journey. Thank you so much to all the panelist members, Ayesha Apu, Nawsher Bhaiya, Humaira Apu, Nowroz Apu. There are a few other people that I would personally want to thank who have worked. Today I'm hosting the webinar, but our President Imtiaz Bhaiya, our VP Eshad Bhaiya was there, our Operations Secretary Asif Anjum Bhaiya was also helping with organizing. He did the initial communication. Eshad Bhaiya helped with the graphics and all the posters. Our communication secretary Shifain was posting on the social media. I did a bit of WhatsApp and spamming people with the messages to join. Thank you, everyone. I wanted to thank them. And before we finish, I would like a closing remark from our President Imtiaz Bhaiya. Imtiaz Bhaiya, if you would like to say something before we end the session in 3 minutes today. And from my end, I'm your host today, Shadman Rouf, signing off. And I'm still here for the next 3 minutes. But thank you so much, everyone. Imtiaz Bhaiya, the floor is yours. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. বললাম যে কথা বলার সুযোগ পেলে কেউ ছাড়তে চায় না, 2 মিনিট সময় যখন দিচ্ছে কথা বলেনি. That's all right. First of all, I don't know how to thank all the panelists. I feel so proud to be part of this community and with all these people here. I mean, just thank you দিয়ে আসলে প্যানেলিস্টদেরকে ছোট করতে চাই না, কারণ we are part of the same family, we belong to the same alma mater. And we need to come forward to help each other, especially the newcomers, to give them the confidence to share our grit and to encourage them with our growth. I think that was the main purpose of this series, and it will be going on. Jara আজকে তাদের class, late night work, and everything সবকিছুর মাঝে আজকে join করতে পেরেছে আজকের ওয়েবিনারটাতে. I hope it has been immensely helpful. To be honest, I learned a lot of things from all 4 panelists. আমার একটা ছোট্ট জিনিস মনে হয়েছে যেটা আমি জানি না কেউ পয়েন্ট আউট করেছে কিনা, 4 জন প্যানেলিস্ট সবাই যার যার পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ থেকে কথা বলেছে on their growth and their grit. একটা ছোট্ট contradiction ছিল. Some of the panelists stayed strong on what they want to achieve in Australia. They didn't want to sacrifice their roles and the experience they brought in. And some of the panelists said, no, don't worry about what role you're getting, just jump onto it. It's a contradiction, but তোমরা যারা শুনতেছিলা এটা তোমরা এটা ফলো করছো কিনা জানি না, it's the confidence they are going with the role. Nawsher যখন বলছে যে না, I don't want to sacrifice my fintech career that I brought in from Bangladesh, look into the confidence. And when the other panelists said that now jump onto the role, you get worry about the future later because you can jump onto the next role. There is another confidence. So don't lose your confidence. That's my 2 cents. I always tell myself that I know where it ends and that's where I start. So that is very important. And আরেকটা অ্যাডভাইস, কারোর সাথে কারো লাইফের সাকসেস ফেলিয়ার কোনো কিছুর সাথে নিজের লাইফ কম্পেয়ার করবে না. Your journey is your own. Yes, we can be inspired, but don't get demotivated by looking into your peers' success. You learn from it, you get inspiration from it, but don't let it cloud your judgment. Your journey is yours. আমরা সামনে ইনশাআল্লাহ আরো এরকম ওয়েবিনার করব. We have a calendar full of things to do in next 2 years or so while this panel is here. I don't want to prolong it any long. Thank you for all attending this one. It's been a long session, I think 1.5 hours. এবং প্যানেলিস্টদেরকে heartiest thanks for making time from your busy schedule, especially Huma, Ayesha with 3 kids. I know how juggling it can be, and others we have 1, 2, whatever. I mean, we all are busy in our professional life. Who has 4? You have 4. Oh, you've got a cat.
A cat.
Yeah, no. All right. Now, thank you, everyone. And I want to especially thank the organizing team, Shadi, Ishad, Oyon, Shifan, and all who have worked behind the screen to make this event a successful one. A big shout out to them as well. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Imtiaz
you.
bhai. Thank you to all the audience. It's a weekday night. You guys have all made time to join us. Thank you so much. We would be having a few other volume 2 coming up soon, and we will be having other events coming up soon, including a 25-year Silver Jubilee celebration for BRAC University this October. Please keep an eye on our WhatsApp channels and on our social media platforms, and you would get more information regarding this soon. Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you to the panelists and to everyone who was associated with this event, and to all our audience. See you again in the next webinar, and goodbye. Good night.
Thank you.